Alright, so the original author of this week's recipe is Alton Brown. It's relatively simple. You need 1 liter of heavy cream, 35% milk fat. You need to use 1 vanilla bean, ideally Madagascar vanilla for its relatively standard flavor profile. Some white sugar. You can use vanilla sugar, but it's a bit of a hassle to do, and I don't think it adds that much considering you're using a vanilla bean already. 6 large egg yolks. The difference between this recipe and Alton Brown's recipe is the addition of 1 tablespoon of masala chai. This adds a very nice chai taste to the creme brulee that goes really well with the vanilla. And then for the brulee, you're just going to use white sugar. And for the actual blowtorching of the creme brulee, you need to use an alkane blowtorch. Generally speaking, these will be butane or propane blowtorches. You don't really want to use something else, as it can often cause the food you make to be toxic. Very bad for your health. With no further ado, we'll take a look at the recipe. Okay, to start, you're going to take 1 liter of your whipping cream. You can use 15%, but it's not going to turn out right. Terrible idea. You're going to set it on your stove and start it simmering. Very low temperature, you don't want it to burn. Then you're going to open a pack of vanilla beans and take 1 vanilla bean out to use. It's very important you buy A-grade vanilla beans, as B-grade are only for extracts. You're going to bisect the vanilla bean from top to bottom with a relatively sharp knife. Has to be sharp. Your knife might slip and cut you if not. Okay, so once it's all open, you can go over to your pot. Just add it in. Okay, then you're also going to take a tablespoon of your chai tea. Make sure it's well mixed beforehand. And add it in with your cream. Make sure after opening, your vanilla beans are sealed and airtight. Okay, it's been resealed. While this is on your stove, still cooking, you're going to want to turn your oven on and set it to 325, or if you have a convection oven, 350. Reminder to keep whisking the milk semi-frequently. It needs to come up to a relatively high temp to actually extract the flavor from the tea. In the meantime, take your 6 eggs, separate the yolks. Do it in a separate container from where the yolks are going in case your egg breaks here. You don't want to end up with a bunch of egg white somewhere where you don't want it. Doesn't have to be perfect. You just got to do your best to get as much of the white separate. You can also use an egg separator instead of your hands. I prefer using my hands though. Okay. Keep your egg whites, you can cook them. Good source of protein, try not to throw them out. Okay, so for creme brulee, you're going to want to use a water bath to make sure it cooks evenly. You want it to cook completely through well, because otherwise it will just have a bunch of grains and whatnot in it. It won't taste great. It will taste not terrible, but not as good as it could be. So whatever dish you're going to use, the elites don't want you to know this, but you can actually just use any size dish you want. You don't have to use the tiny little ones. You can make like a family serving in a really big dish. So I've got this one here that fits perfectly inside of the roasting pan. So what you're going to want to do is, in advance, you're going to want to figure out how much water you can put in here that it doesn't go over the edges of the vessel you're going to want to cook in. If you're using ramekins, you can basically use a deep dish baking tray, an 8x8, whatever you want. But I'm going to use a roasting pan. Okay, we're now going to test how well it fits and how high up the water goes. So we can see that the water comes just about an inch up the side, so we'll do an extra 2 cups here. Okay, now that our oven is up to temp, we're just going to finish up the process. We'll let this continue boiling on the stove. Okay, we're going to come back to our water bath here. We're going to preemptively put in the dish that we're going to be using in the water bath. slide that off to the side. And we're gonna quickly do our eggs up. So we're gonna add in half a cup of sugar, and we're going to beat it with a whisk. You can do this by hand or you can do it by mixer. Your goal here is just to make sure that it changes color. It should become a light yellow. Okay, now it's lightened up a bit in color, you can stop. Okay, so at this point, your milk mixture should be finished. You're just gonna strain it into another bowl to get the tea and vanilla bean out. Give it a second to cool. Okay, so it's likely that your vanilla beans still have some flavor left in them. So what you're gonna wanna do is you wanna get all the remaining seeds that you might have missed earlier out of the pod here. Just gonna move your finger along and you should have a huge amount of seeds. Just gonna drop those in. Now you can save these vanilla bean husks and use them for vanilla sugar if you want. It's not really worth it, but you can. Especially since it has a dairy product on it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but it's an option. Okay, so also, dealer's choice whether you do this or not, but you can crush down the remaining tea with a spoon to get any extra flavor out that might be left in it. This will make your final product more bitter, and it's your choice whether you do it. So, after that's done, what you're going to do is you're going to slowly whisk it into your egg solution. Okay, so you're going to take your mixed solution and you're going to add it to your pre-prepared water bath dish. You grab a spat. And now, your dish is going to go into the oven that you've preheated. Okay, so it's been about 90 minutes at this point. So I'm gonna pull it out just a moment to check. So the way that you can tell if the dish is done is you just have to wiggle it. So you can see how it's got a bit of jiggle to it, but it's not sloshing. This means that your creme brulee is finished and you can pull it out of the oven. How long it takes depends on what you cook it in, how big it is. I did a small one that took about 40 minutes, but this one took about an hour and a half to do. So you can see it jiggles, and even once you pull it off heat, it's going to continue to firm up a bit as it cools down. So you don't have to worry too much if it's just a little jiggly, because it's going to firm up. You're going to want to let this cool at room temp for probably about an hour. You can put aluminum foil over the top if you want to make sure nothing gets on it. But once it's cooled down further, you want to transfer it to the fridge. Okay, so if you opted to do it in tiny little ramekins, the process will look something like this. So you're going to take the sugar, you're just going to sprinkle it along the top here. And now you could use a tiny little blowtorch, but I don't have one. So I've got to use a Burns-O-Matic here. You're just going to want to do it till the sugar is melted. Oh, missed a little bit here. It's really hard to do in such a small ramekin. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take it, you're going to let it rest for a bit, and then you're going to put it back in the fridge just for the top to cool off enough to eat. Okay, here's the finished mini creme brulee. You want a good crunch. Get a good bite. Truly delicious. Due to the fact that we had guests over that night and this was what the creme brulee was for, I wasn't able to take a recording of the blowtorching of it as guests were here and the serving of it as once again guests were here, but I do have a video from a couple of Christmases ago of my sibling doing the blowtorching, and very, very well, I must add. So it wouldn't be fair for you guys not to see how it gets blowtorched, but I don't have any footage of the serving. Also, keep in mind that the exact same process of just sprinkling sugar on top applies to the big creme brulee, not just the small one. Have a great week and enjoy cooking or whatever else you're doing.